Are you getting my screen, all of you, and as well as my voice?
Getting sir.
No. So if you observe last class basically, right? So we're discussing about uh, we are creating this either this storage accounts basically by using some ARM templates. Nothing but it is already having some predefined JSON. So just you can modify that respect to JSON. So just try to include this file in this respect to Azure Cloud Account. So how to include or how to uh, uh, copy paste this respect to specific piece of code in Azure Cloud Account, we already discussed here, right? And then we are trying to, and here the important point is, so once if we created some ARM template file, right? So if you want to, whatever the, let us assume within this ARM template file, we are trying to create some storage accounts. So basically, if you observe, this storage account is one type of service which is available within this respect to Azure Cloud. So finally, whether if you're trying to create or trying to execute or trying to deploy some ARM template file, so we're having some different ways. So one is by using some Azure portal, which we discussed already, and one more thing is by using some PowerShell, and one more thing is by using some CI/CD pipeline. And if you go with some PowerShell, basically, so first of all, uh, uh, we trying to create some Windows virtual machine. If you observe, in this respect to Windows virtual machine, we are trying to we are already having inbuilt some PowerShell option is there. Basically, we are having some two types of PowerShells. One is Windows PowerShell and Windows PowerShell ISC. Nothing but integrated scripting environment. That is ISC stands for. We can go with some Windows PowerShell basically. So within this Windows PowerShell, if you want to connect from Azure account or Azure Cloud account, we're having some predefined command, nothing but connect AZ account, right? And after that, we're having some predefined commands. So if you want to deploy or if you want to export some ARM template by using some PowerShell, so initially we have created some Windows virtual machine. Within that Windows virtual machine, if you want to connect from Azure Cloud account, we have executed some predefined commands. So and then basically here our intention is, so even we can deploy this ARM template file by using some Windows virtual machine as well. I mean by using some Azure Cloud account. So you know already that if you want to create some Windows virtual machine, first of all we require some resource group, rich network, and sub network, and then we can create some Windows virtual machine. So by using this respective Windows virtual machine, even you can, if you want to log into that respective Windows virtual machine, we require one more software called as an RDP. By using this respective RDP, right, you're able to access or you're able to utilize this respective Windows virtual machine basically. So these things we discussed already, and finally we have closed that respective industrial machine, and finally we have gone to our local system. I mean local system means we doesn't have any included within this respect to Azure Cloud basically. And even in your local systems, if you're having some Windows operating systems, right, so within your Windows operating system also we're having some inbuilt PowerShell is there, right? So within this local PowerShell, or we can say that our own laptops, or whatever the laptops, what are the physical laptops in which are utilizing these physical laptops is already enclosed with, already we're having some PowerShell. Even by using this PowerShell also, we are trying to create, or we are trying to deploy this ARM template. Okay, but here one difference is by using some PowerShell. Okay, and even on I mean in our last class, whenever if you are going with PowerShell, and if you are whenever if you are changing some directory within this PowerShell, right, CD nothing but CD stands for change directory. Whenever you are changing from one location to, or one directory to other directory, we're getting some error, right, we're unable to solve at this at that point of time. And even uh, we are trying to execute whatever this ARM template file which you already created, right. So this thing we are executed by default location. Means if you observe, whenever if you open some PowerShell, we're having inbuilt what we call inbuilt path is going to be generated, or inbuilt path will be there already basically. If you're using some PowerShell, maybe some C users desktop, or maybe some C users Shiva, or maybe some C users some photos. So like that, not photos. Mostly we're having some desktop mostly, or your some username. What are the username which you have basically, right? So in this in inbuilt location itself, we have copy pasted that respect to ARN template file, and we try to execute. These things we discussed already. But as I mentioned you, we need to solve that specific error as well, because always we don't have within that default location, we are unable to copy paste each and everything, or we are trying to execute this JSON files in a specific location. From that specific location we are trying to execute. So this may be the requirement, right? So mostly we are not able to do any operations on the default location basically. Okay, because the default location is nothing but related to some OS level, operating system level basically. Okay, so now here, why we're getting that error specifically? So any of you solve that specific error? Any of you got some solution? Ramesh, Sujit, Nasimha? So any of you got some solution or not yet? Okay, no solution, or you tried somebody? Many of you tried? At least you can respond me so that I can proceed further. Yes or no? So if you observe, so this is the piece of code, right? I think we have actually in our last class, resources and what this as a deploy. Okay, so this is multiple locations. That's good. So this is just here we're providing some multiple storage names, right? So let us try to execute this file. Okay, so you know already. So within the resource, just we are providing some. This is nothing but a storage account name. So this is one storage account name, and this is one more storage account name, right? And here within this ES2S and standard LRS, nothing but local redundant storage, right? So these things you know. So here the problem is why we are not able to execute the specific files in the PowerShell, right? So first of all, just go to PowerShell, click on enter. So this is the default location, right? Nothing but C user Shiva. So within this location, if you observe last class, so we have C user Shiva. So within this location, we have copy pasted, right? That specific file, ARM template file. Where is that? I think I have removed, maybe. Okay. So last class, if you observe, if you copy paste that specific file in this specific location, we are able to execute that ARM template file, right? So why we are getting that error? So let us, if you go to this specific location, desktop, ARM templates within this P, just I want to go to this location. Let us assume, okay? So just open here, type cd and paste it here. So here, this is the specific error we're getting basically, right? So why we're getting this error, right? So a small thing is basically just you need to remove the space. Okay, so if you observe here, see user Shiva desktop. After that, we have created a folder called as an ARM templates, right? So if you observe ARM and templates, in between we're having some space. So try to remove that space. So then it is going to navigate from this C user Shiva to this respective path. Here, the if you observe this current path is, so finally we required B folder, right, within this ARM templates. So now it will navigate to this respective B folder. That is the small thing what we have made. Okay, this is the solution. Finally I searched so many different communities, so almost it is taken. It is looking is a small solution, but for me it is taken almost 2 to 3 hours. Okay, so that is the one thing. So now if you try to navigate this specific location, just copy this location now and paste it here. Click on enter. Now if you observe, it is navigated to the B folder, right? So after that, what is the predefined command if you want to execute a specific file? CSS templates does not exist. So now if you want to execute this specific ARM template file, right? What is the command? So this is the predefined command we're having, right? So nothing but here, instead of deploy one, we need to provide some ARM arm test arm test.json, right? Yes, just copy this command and paste it here. Click on enter. So I think we did not create a resource script, right? Click on create. As a test, right? Click on enter. Sorry. So it is created, right? So just go to here, go to storage accounts, click on refresh. See here, if you observe in this specific piece of code, we're having two storage account names, right? One is, 300, one more thing is 400. So it is created basically. Okay. So is it fine, all of you? Now we are not able to get any errors. Any doubts, any of you till here? No doubts. Okay. So now here we're having some ARM test1.json. If you observe in this specific file, right? So what is the difference? If you observe in this specific file and in this specific file, any of you? Otherwise, what we can do is open with any of you observe any difference in between these two files? this ARM test.json and ARM test1.json.
Default value, Shiva.
Default value.
Yeah, we'll go with resources like that. No?
Where is default value? Here, this one.
In parameters. Yeah.
Okay.
To trigger routed to default value.
Mhm. Here, yes, that is one thing. Basically, if you observe this ARM test and ARM test one, here what we are doing is we are included. Basically, till now we have played with this only resources tag, right? Here, if you are observing ARM test one, this is nothing but a resources tag. Here we have included not only resources, and we have included some parameters and as well as variables tag as well. That is the first difference. Or otherwise, how can we pass the variables, or how can we modify the variables, right? So let us assume here, if you observe in ARM test, right, here this is nothing but a completely predefined code. Otherwise, if you observe this Azure deploy.json completely, where is this Azure deploy? It is also same thing. We'll go to Google. Okay, so here if you observe the sources, so just we have created some storage accounts. That's it, right? But here if you observe this, this is a original code, right? On this original code, just we have modified basically, right? So if you observe this piece of code, whenever if you are there, they include some parameters on these variables, right? So there is a little bit change in this respect to resource tag as well. Okay, if you observe here, storage account type. So storage account type falls under which tag? Nothing but parameters tag, right? Or simply we can say that under these parameters we're having a variable called as a storage account type. Under this variable we're having a parameter called as a storage account name. Or if you want to access the storage account type within the storage account type, so these are the different types of variables and this respective values we're having. So it is having some information within the storage account type. So if you observe, this is a opening class and this is a closing tag. Within the storage account, this is a piece of code which you are having, right? So now if you want to access this specific code, so compulsory we are able to access only under the parameters we're having storage account type. So here if you observe somewhere, see here, parameters storage account type, right? And if you observe these variables, under the variables we're having storage account name. So name is equal to variables and storage account name basically. So here if you modify something like storage account type 1 or maybe some storage account, so if you modify some name, some different name instead of storage account type, here also we need to modify. Okay, same way under the variables, if you are modifying something, the storage account name, if you are modifying some name, right, nothing but storage account detail, something like that, right? So here also you need to modify basically. Okay, anyway this type is nothing but storage account, this is the default one. And this location, so you know already if you whatever the location you want to create basically. Okay, so same thing, just I have done some changes in this ARM test1.json. Okay, so I have taken once again this piece of code, whatever the Azure deploy.json, just I have modified. Instead of storage account name, I have given some storage account name one. So if you are changing this one, right, under the parameters we have changed something. So after parameters we need to provide some storage account name one. Same for this variables as well, right? Under this variable I have mentioned some storage account type, right? So you also need to modify the respect to change. Here within this parameters, whatever the name which are providing, the same name we need to provide here. And within these variables, whatever the name we are providing, the same name we need to provide. Okay, and here if you observe resource group dot location, here I'm not providing any ES2S, right? So directly it is going to take from the Azure cloud account whatever the resource group which are having. So that resource group one is going to try to take it basically. Okay, any doubts in this one, any of you? After including these parameters and variables, previously we have given only resource tag, now we have included these two more tags. Whenever if you're trying to include these parameters and variables, this information we need to include in the resource tag. So if anybody did not get this piece of code, or if you're not understanding something, let me know so that I can explain one more time. Is it fine?
Hello.
Yes.
So, in the past, in the last JSON, test JSON and test1.json, we are creating resources, right?
We are creating.
We are resources, only storage account.
So the difference is here, if you observe, here we have given some name, storage account name, right?
Yes.
Yes, we have not yet included any parameters or variables tag. So whenever including these parameters and variables tag, so we need to change this complete resource tag as well. Here we are unable to provide any name, right? Basically, here if you observe, we have included in the name tag variables, this one.
Yes, yes, yes.
So now here how this flow is going to take place is, so if you observe within this name tag or name field, right, what is the value parameters? Now it will go to first of all parameters. Within this parameters, what is the name? Storage account name one. Okay, storage account name one, it is going to cross check whether it is matching or not, right? So then it is going to go for default value. So nothing but what is the name we have given, something 400 we have given. So previously we're having some 300, 400. Now it is we're trying to create some 400. So it will cross check within this Azure cloud account, do we have this port storage, uh, port storage MNB 400? So do we have this specific name within this storage account or not? So if you're already having, it will not create. If you don't have, then it is trying to create here basically. Same for even this variables as well. So within this variables, so it is going to storage account type. So we have given some standard LRS. So previously if you observe this standard LRS and even uh, this storage account name, we have given just inside of resource tag. But here we have separated into with the two tags. One is parameters and one more thing is variables. That is the difference.
Okay. I think it's style of programming differences, right?
Yes.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Okay. So now if you want to execute this specific file, right? So this is the same command we're having. So here ARMTest1.json. So let us assume here what we are doing is here we have given some 2 instead of 1, here 1 only. Okay, let us try to save and try to execute this file. Just copy this one and paste it here. Click on enter. Resource group name is Azure test. So here it is saying error, code invalid template, message deployment or validation failed. The template parameter storage account name 1 is not found. Okay, so it is saying nothing but it is mismatch, right? Simply here we have given storage account name 2, but here initially it will not consider these parameters and variables. First execution flow directly will come to resource tag. Within this resource tag it is go to first of all name, and within this we're having parameters. Within this parameters we're having storage account name 1. So it is not finding here basically. So that is a error here. Storage account name 1 is not found. Okay, so now just you can modify, save it. Click on enter. Okay, so it is created. So here it is already having port storage MNB 400, so it will not create any new one because it is already exist. Okay, so same code, nothing change here. If you observe, the only change is, so just within this parameter tag, right, we are trying to include or we are trying to create a multiple storage accounts. Okay, nothing but storage account name 1, storage account name 2, storage account name 3. Okay, anyway this storage account type is common for all these storage accounts. Storage account, I mean all these storage accounts, what are the storage account names which are given, right? So this thing it will not change basically. So only we can add a more tags within this respect to parameters tags if you want to create more storage accounts, what I mean to say, right? So here whenever if you're trying to create a more storage account names, so definitely within this resource tag also we need to include more tags based upon the storage account names, what are the names which are provided. So here you already know storage account name 1 is have, we have already. I think first it will go to parameters. Within this parameter storage account name 1, so storage account name 1, within this it is trying to create pool storage MNB 500, right? So then storage parameters, within this parameter storage account name 2, so it will check, so do we have storage account name 2 or not. We are already having, it will try to create. Same way storage account 3 as well, right? So storage account 3, So nothing between, if you observe this ARM test 1 and ARM test 2, nothing difference. So in ARM test 2, so just we are trying to create more storage accounts with the different names. That is the only difference. So here, whenever if you are including a mode tags within this parameters tag, so definitely here also we need to do the necessary changes within the resource tag as well. That is the only one thing, okay, which you need to understand. So just try to execute this file here. So here this is ARM test 2. Enter. So it is created, right? Here it is, sorry. Click on refresh. Here 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. So here I think we are trying to create from 500, right? I think with 500, 600, 700. So it is trying to create it. So now here, if you observe, here it is mentioning some mode equal to incremental. Okay, so basically here we're having two types of modes. One is incremental mode and one more thing is complete mode. Okay, so what is the difference between these two modes? Two types of modes. Incremental mode. Okay, let us assume if you're giving some incremental mode, uh, otherwise, so within this Azure cloud account or Azure storage account is one service, right? So within this already we're having three storage account names, maybe some 100, 200, 300, let us assume, right? So we are giving some one with same name, right? So now it will not disturb remaining storage accounts or remaining accounts. Okay, so whenever if you're, so currently if you observe this specific command, we did not mentioning any modes, right? So by default it is taking some mode as an incremental mode. So let us assume if you are giving some here we can provide some mode as well within this specific command. So if you're giving some mode, right, So let us assume maybe some hyphen mode is equal to incremental. Okay, so here incremental mode, let us assume already we're having some three storage accounts within this Azure cloud, right? One with the same name. Okay, one with the same name means maybe if you go to uh, 400, so 400 we already given the same name, so it is not disturbing, right? And it is not disturbing the existing storage accounts. I mean, it is not disturbing 300. If you observe in ARM test 1, I think, right, ARM test 1, so post storage MNB 400 already we're having the same name, right? But it is not disturbing this 300. It is not disturbing this 300. So just it is going to cross check whether do we have any pool storage MNB 400 storage account name or not. If you are having, it will not create. If you don't have, then it is trying to create, and even it is not disturbing this 300 as well, right? There is nothing but incremental mode, what I mean to say. Okay, so one with the same name, it will not disturb the remaining accounts. But if you go to this complete mode, complete mode, it also will having some three, already we're having some three storage accounts, one with the same name we are providing organization, same name, equal to 1. Equal to 1 means here 400 is there, right? So whenever if you are trying to create some this 400, right, it will delete all the remaining storage accounts. It will create only 400 storage account with name as an pool storage MNB 400 on it. We will trying to create remaining storage accounts. It will delete all the remaining storage account names. Okay, so it will delete the remaining accounts. Okay, so once if you go to practical, you're going to get complete picture on this. So just copy this one, paste it here. So we'll go with 1. Right, if you observe this ARM test1.json, we are already having pool storage MNB 400, right? So first initially we are going with some incremental mode. So here just before this verbose hyphen mode equal to incremental, spelling is correct, incremental space. Okay, incremental. Okay, so if you're going with incremental, so we are already having the same name within this Azure storage accounts, right? Nothing but the same name, it is already available, so it will not disturb the remaining storage accounts, storage account names, what I mean to say, right? So just it is going to cross check whether this it is already available or not with the same storage account name. If it is already available, it will not create, and it will not delete the remaining storage account names as well. There is nothing but incremental mode, right? So just copy this one, paste it here, Azure test. Okay, so it is done. Just refresh it here. See here we're having 300, 400, 500, 600, so nothing changed, right? So now same thing, same command, we will go with complete mode like this. Okay, so what is complete mode? So even though we're having the same storage account name, right? So while creating this web, it is also same thing. First of all, it is going to cross check whether the same storage account name is or not, right? So instead of creating this same storage account names, right, it will delete the remaining storage account names as well. Okay, to delete the remaining storage account names, what I mean to say. Okay, so here ARM test one already we're having the same storage account name, right? So just copy this one, enter. So it is created, right? So now if you refresh here, here it is created only post storage MNB 400. Remaining this all the storage account names, it is deleted. So that is the biggest difference between incremental and complete mode. Incremental mode and complete mode. What I mean to say. Okay, so that is the reason by default Azure cloud itself, right? It is following by default incremental instead of complete. Okay, any doubts in this concept? I mean this modes concept, any of you?
Uh, so if we delete, if we use that complete mode, so the remaining storage files will be deleted. So in that case, the data which is stored in the storage file also deleted, right?
Yes, everything.
Which can be retrieved further, or
Yes, we can retrieve,
okay.
but
So for that,
that thing,
any other command?
not command for that one. The thing is, we need to check with the take the help of support team, Azure cloud support team. We don't have any commands for retrieving.
Okay.
Okay, so whenever if you are if company is purchasing or if company is going with Azure cloud as a vendor, right? So for support also they need to pay the money. Now here we are just creating some services within the Azure cloud, that's it, right? In company point of view, definitely they're going to store some GBs and terabytes of data in Azure cloud itself. So this all this data is going to store in Azure cloud servers. So unfortunately, let us assume if you're deleting something, if you're deleting some data in Azure cloud point of view in your company itself, right? Still that data is available in the Azure cloud servers, but lot of authentication is required from your company point of view. Then there is a chance of that Azure cloud support team, they're going to retrieve the data and they're going to place it your respective Azure clouds. You got my point?
Yes, yes. But do we have all these rows? I mean, any admin people have only these rows, especially, or every other user, fresher also have this row? to do this complete and incremental mode
No,
to
no,
do this type?
no. Only hires, not they. This will not, because this data is deleting, right? So these things will not
Okay,
be happen at freshers level.
okay, right. So why I'm asking is if I copy paste any code somewhere in GitHub, if they mention like this, if I didn't see that, so if I run that now,
Hmm.
so it will
No,
be
no.
it will
By
be
default, it will not run. No, no. Here, as a users, just I'm going with some paid version. So maybe you're going with some free trial. So we don't have that much of control on the Azure cloud, basically. But if you go with the company's point of view, we are not able to execute each and every command. So let us assume if you go with the complete mode, this command we are not able to execute. We don't have permissions. What I mean to say.
okay. So where I have to give the permissions for this type of thing?
No, no. Here, let us assume you're having some company as a, right? If company A is going with some Azure cloud, so once they have given some Azure cloud, or once if your agreement is done with between this A and Microsoft company, so this Azure support team is going to come into picture. First of all, they are going to provide you one super admin access. Okay, from this super admins, or from this super admin or from this administration account, you can have some multiple sub users. So that thing we're going to discuss in our upcoming class. Let us assume you're already having some Azure cloud account, right? You have created so much of services. The same services just I want to replicate to other user. Let us assume. Okay, how can we do that? These things we will discuss in our upcoming class. Okay,
Okay, okay.
that is your question, right?
Correct, correct. So
Yes.
all the permissions and privileges will be assigned to that same user, right? If we copy
Yes,
paste that.
yes.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
And if anybody is working on maybe some banking domains, or maybe some banking domains, or security related data related companies, basically, if they're using some databases, maybe some Oracle or MySQL, any of these databases, if you're trying to execute some delete command, first of all, we are not unable to execute the delete command as well. They're restricted. Every user, no, I mean, whoever is having which is specific to that respective company, were unable to execute the delete commands in any of these respective databases. Only administration, main user, I mean, whoever the main user, only able to access or able to create, able to execute the delete command here. So maybe some 5 years 6 years level, whoever falls under this respective roles, right? So they were not able to execute this delete command because this is a specific reason. First of all, any banking company, they don't want to delete the data related to a specific user or a group of users. So definitely the data will be utilized somewhere. So that is the reason. Now we are
Yeah,
going to discuss. Yes,
yeah. Clear, clear.
we're having a one more file here. This is nothing but a passing by parameters. So here, if you observe, otherwise go to here. Here we're having Azure deploy parameters.json, one more file, right? So if you observe this specific file or specific JSON format, we have only parameter stack. Except parameter stack, we don't have any resource tag or variable tags. So nothing we're having. So parameter is nothing but just if you go with a parameter stack, so just you're going to pass some parameters. That's it. Okay. So if you observe this specific file here, so here what I mentioned, just 700 I have given, right? I mean storage account name. That's it. Storage account name one. That's it. Apart from that, nothing I have given. But here, whenever if you're going with only specific to the parameter stack, right? And even this storage account name one, or whatever the name you have given, so this thing it is required this information it is required, right? Resource information it is required, I mean which location, right, which account type. So this information it is required, basically this azure param.json. So that thing we can mention within the command itself. Means previously if you observe, so this is the command, right? Maybe I'm going with some, this is the command, this is the command, right? But whenever if you are going with parameters, only parameter stack within this json format, so little bit we need to change this respect to command as well. Okay, so here what we need to do is hyphen template, I think p is caps, template parameter file, right? What is your file name? Azure param.json. So this is the thing. So this one we need to mention. Okay, now how it is going to execute is, first of all it will go to this arm test1.json, right? Within this arm test1.json, so first of all it is try to create a storage account name, this one, I mean first of all it one it is going to create, right? And then it will check this respective variables. First of all it will not check this all these things. First of all it will directly go to resource tag, right? Within this resource tag it is trying to execute this parameters and variable, this thing you know already. So after we have given this template param file, this is a predefined one, this is a predefined command. If you want to pass, or if you want to execute a json file which is having only parameter stack, so if you observe this azure param, right, it is having only parameter stack, right? So in this parameters we have given some storage account name as pool storage mnb 700 we have given. So now it will interlink with this azure param.json, it will check with this azure, I mean arm test1.json as well. So within this arm test1.json, what it is going to take it, I mean what this azure param.json it is going to take it is, so just it is going to take it is this storage account type and location, these two things it is going to take it. Okay, and one more difference, if you observe this arm test1.json and azure param, here I have given only value, I did not mention any default value. That is the one more difference if you observe. Okay, so let us try to execute this command. What are the storage account names we're having? Only pool storage mnb 400. Here I have given some 700, right? Now we need to have 400 and as well as a 700. Click on enter. So it is done, right? Not happen. Maybe my command is wrong. tmplat tmplat. agent u. See here, it is created. Okay, sometimes it will take some time to create. Okay, so any doubts in this command, any of you? Is it fine, these things? So this command specific only for passing the parameters. Means within the JSON file. So here you need to visualize JSON file means this complete one, this complete. Okay, or otherwise I can mention Azure deploy.json. Okay, if we want to include only parameter stack, right? If you want to include only parameter stack, so then we need to execute the below command. This is the below command, and this is the piece of code. Okay, is it fine, these things? Any doubts, any of you? This one.
So, do we refer any particular document for this? Because I mean, these parameters, like there are so many tabs are there, right, in the production.
No, these commands, it is already available in the Microsoft Docs itself. Okay, so if you observe, this is Azure. We're having one keyword to type. Azure templates command. This one is different. See here, these are the comments. So these comments only I utilize it. Just I have modified based upon my requirement. That's it. Okay.
Okay. Siva, do you have any this type of requirements, or can we prepare in your class data only?
Mm,
Use cases.
I did not get you.
In the real time, there are so many use cases, right? To create everyday tasks are there, right?
Mm.
create other services, everything.
Mm.
So for every those tasks we have to refer only the documents, or do we have any particular resource like GitHub?
No, mostly they can provide. I think nobody will provide any document. So just we need to Google it and we need to do it. That's it. Because this Azure or AWS, these are the latest cutting edge technologies, right? So nobody,
Yes.
they don't know the, and because the thing is, every 6 months, even Azure or AWS, they are changing something definitely. Okay, it can be any service, not only this resource group, it can be any service. So maybe some command base if you are utilizing, right, definitely this command is going to be changed. So that is the reason compulsory we need to go with these documents, either the Azure or AWS. So we need to go through the documents only. We don't have any specific solutions in even any community at this point of time.
Okay. Can you please share us any use cases, or we will prepare here? We'll practice for that. I mean, in the interview or real time work.
And these are the case studies only, what are the practical things which are going.
Okay, okay,
So that is the reason, right? Here, whatever thing which you are discussing on theory, on that call itself, we are teaching that these all these things in practical.
okay. So to practice purpose also, can you please share some
Sure.
scenarios?
Okay, okay.
I will.
So same
I will.
thing. Let me create some whatever the discussion we have done, right? So let us create some task or something like that. Okay, I will share to you.